right, welcome back. It's still Women's Month and we're still talking positive stories related to women in South Africa. The Standard Bank Top Women Awards is a collaborative platform dedicated to recognizing outstanding leadership, inspiration, vision and innovation in organizations that have stepped up and shaped women's roles within the private and public sectors. Joining us now in our studios this morning to discuss this is Karla Fletcher, who is a Director of TOPCO Media, and she heads up the gender empowerment brand Top Women. Welcome. Happy Women's Month to you.
And to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much indeed. Talk to us about these awards.
They're in their 13th year, so we've been going with them for some time. And they started, when we started, we developed, based on research, we developed a publication called Top Women in Business and Government. And really when we started, we probably had a handful of under 400 companies that we could identify that were looking at women in ownership and management positions and organizations that were really driving the forefront of gender empowerment. And we based on those organizations, it wasn't enough that we thought just to list what these companies were doing, but to start to talk about the stories, and through those stories start to emulate that success in South Africa. And I think we now sit on the last publication we did in the research we did looking at 2,400 companies that have qualified. And over the years, we've awarded more than 250 finalists through this process.
So there is indeed potential here, you know.
100%, 100%.
Is it really recognized, though, the potential that we have?
I believe so, and I think, you know, everybody will state the argument that there's not enough being done in terms of gender empowerment. But it is important to reflect and stop and look at what has been done. And the only way we're going to further this is by telling the stories and recognizing some of the work that's been done. We cannot continue to slander the lackluster efforts. We have to put forward those that are contributing. And you know, there's the naming and shaming, but there's also the awarding and recognizing and giving other people inspiration.
Certainly. Now, these awards will commence after a 2-day conference, which is scheduled to take place on the 17th and the 18th of this month. Yes. That will be in partnership with the Department of Women. Yes. All right, talk to us about that. So,
I mean, just like I said, I think that knowing who the organizations are, and then recognizing them. The next step was to look at unpacking the programs and policies that these organizations have put in place. And the reason we want to unpack them is because we have a goal to reach 50-50 gender parity by 2030.
I wanted to come there as to how feasible that is. If you look at how things are now.
I think it's debatable, and I think there are many sides of the playing field. We had 18 judges that sat around a table at the before the Top Women Awards, and they're all in very influential positions, where they're in the financial sector, engineering, general business community, and skills. And I think there was a vast kind of, you know, some people are on the fence and some people are saying, why not now already? You know, why haven't we reached this place already? What is stopping us?
Why wait for 2030?
Why?
Yeah.
And so I think the reality is there, and you've got the National Development Plan, and you've got the African agenda, the African Union Agenda of 2063, and I think it all aligns, and we really need to get on board and get into shape.
All right, so talk to us about the speakers that are due to be part of the conference.
The speakers, we have the Department of Women. We have...
so I believe the Minister, Susan Shabangu, will be there as well.
Will be there, yes. We have Thuli Madonsela, and we have Phumzile Mlambo Ngcuka from United Nations, who will be there. And I think those are just kind of the catalysts, major players. But what we're also looking at is some of our previous award winners who are there to talk about what those success stories are and share them. And I think our interest is looking at an outcome of what we want is for organizations to start to pledge around what they're going to be doing within the next year and follow that through until 2030, until we can see and benchmark the milestones that are taking place.
Now, for the 2 days conference, who is invited to come? Is it per invite, or any other women can take part in it?
We have partners, and we are inviting certain people of influence who should be listening and who should be showing, representing their organizations there. It is a paid-for event. But more importantly, who should be there is really anybody who is in business, you know, even male CEOs, to understand what the requirements are, what the barriers to entry are for women in leadership roles. People who are working in the skills development space. I think there's a lot of spend on skills at the moment. And are they reaching, is the pipeline being reached in the right avenues? I think the general consensus is not necessarily, and to understand how we can get women into the job, into the economy.
But what is your overall feel, especially when it comes to this 50-50 parity? Are we getting there? Is the light at the end of the tunnel, or there's still a long way to go?
I think there's a long way to go, and I think there's a lot of work to do, and I think it's important that we are making sure we share a space where we communicate what needs to be done and how, and who is best to serve in terms of what purpose. I think it is going to be a challenge, but it's something we need to rise to, and it's something we really need to get on board very quickly. The facts speak for themselves that women in leadership positions or boards with female influence are more productive, are more successful, and are more efficient. And I think we need to embrace that rapidly, especially in the challenging times that we're experiencing.
Now, for the awards, who are you specifically looking at? Is it your CEOs, executive leaders? You also go into the private sector, right?
So we look at private sector, we look at public sector, we look at entrepreneurs, we look at SMEs, and those who have influence over. I think we started to look at the large organizations, obviously those who have a large impact on the economy, and who are influencing big numbers in terms of how we can turn this around. But what we do know is that SMEs are huge influences in job creation, and that is what's coming through. And so we need to be recognizing and showing a platform where we can show the women who maybe have lost a sense of kind of where the opportunities are, and give them some encouragement to come on board.
All right, Karla, that's where we're going to leave it, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, and happy Women's Month.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Same to you. Well, there you have it. That's Karla Fletcher, who's the Director of TOPCO Media, and she heads up the gender empowerment brand Top Women, talking to us about the Standard Bank Top Women Awards, which is a collaborative platform dedicated to recognize outstanding leadership and inspiration by our beautiful women here in South Africa.